Hey y'all, we are making mallows! And by mallows, I mean homemade marshmallows. It's not something that people typically make, I think because they seem a little bit intimidating, but I promise they are so not. They're actually one of the easiest and most fun things to make. So let's get down to business with these marshmallows, and at the end, I'm gonna show you a really fun way to make s'mores inside without a fire pit. Let's do it. Truth be told, I've only made marshmallows one time, but I do know that the most important thing to mallow making is preparing the pan. When recipes call to prepare a pan at the beginning, I usually skip that step. With marshmallows, it's very important to prepare your pan correctly. So you're gonna need some tools. Your 7x11 or 2-quart Pyrex, and some parchment paper that you have folded to fit the size. So this is narrow and it's gonna go in this way, and this is a little bit wider and it's gonna go in this way. And then you're gonna need some clothespins, some Pamela, and some powdered sugar with a fine wire mesh strainer. Those are all the things you need just to prepare the pan. The recipe is pretty simple, but the preparing the pan part, Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Anyway, the most important part is to prepare your pan with the parchment paper. We have our parchment paper prepared. So many peas, so many peas. We're gonna put it in our Pyrex. Another pea. This is pretty much folded in half. It's about 7 inches because this is a 7x11. And we're going to put this in the bottom of our pan this way. And then take your clothespins, and we're gonna use those just to help hold the parchment paper in place. So many peas. Let's count how many words I can say that have peas in them this whole episode. This larger piece of parchment paper, and use the clothespins to secure on this side. Make sure you try to smooth everything out as evenly as possible, because any ridges that you have in your parchment paper or folds are gonna show up in your marshmallows. So just try to get it smooth, but it doesn't have to be perfect. And there we have it. So you could use this to kind of hook it on the handle if that helps you. I'm gonna do it this way. It looks a little bit more clean and even. If you wanted, you could trim the edges of the parchment paper too if they get in your way. You do you. Once you have your parchment paper perfectly lining your Pyrex, then you can spray it with your Pamela, AKA canola cooking spray. Spray it lightly, not too heavily, and then dust with powdered sugar. I like to do it with a fine wire mesh strainer. Once it looks like the North Pole in here, then you know you've done it well. Once I'm done with the peas. Once your pan is prepared, so done. I don't know how to get around it. Once you have your dish prepared, why are you laughing at me?
You still said a P word.
Okay, we're done with that. No, we're not. We're not. It's gonna be a whole thing, this whole episode. Now that this is ready, we can move on to our gelatin and water. So you're gonna need 1/2 cup of cold water. Pour it in the bowl of a stand mixer. And then 3 packs. I've gotta get over that. 3 packs of gelatin. It's unflavored gelatin. It's near the Jell-O, probably on the top shelf at your grocery store. So into the cold water, open up your packs of unflavored gelatin. When all of your gelatin is mixed in with your water, give it a good whisk and then let it sit while we head to the stove to cook our sugar. All right, now we have to cook our sugar mixture, which is equal parts granulated sugar and light corn syrup or Karo syrup, whatever you want to call it. 1 1/4 cup granulated, plain old good white sugar. And then we're gonna measure our 1 1/4 cup cornstarch. If you're measuring a sticky ingredient, whether that be corn syrup, honey, maple syrup, sorghum, whatever, molasses, use your friend Pamela. She's a great friend. I use her for a plethora of uses. Spray your measuring utensil, cup, spoon, whatever. Then your sticky ingredient will come out clean and you get all of this ingredient and you're not having to like scrape it with a spatula. Anyway, So 1 1/4 cup into the sugar. Look at that. And then 1/4 teaspoon salt and a 1/2 cup of water. You're gonna need to buy, if you don't have one already, a candy thermometer. A candy thermometer is one that can stay in a pot for the entire time of the cooking process, so you can monitor it. The hardest part of this recipe, honestly, is just waiting for this sugar mixture to come up to 240 degrees, which if you have a candy thermometer, it sometimes tells you the stages of sugar cookery. That's what all of these are, fun fact. Thread, firm ball, soft crack, hard crack, caramel. One that they left out on this particular thermometer is soft ball, which is pretty much what we're looking for. It's between like 238 and 240. That's what we're doing, soft ball stage. Your sugar mixture might have the tendency to boil over, in which case turn your heat down a little bit. If it starts bubbling and really vigorously, stir it until it cools down and turn the heat down. See how it's boiling over? Just turn your heat down and it should be pretty good to go. That's really it. Just keep an eye on it. This is not one of those recipes that you can like fix it and forget it. It is definitely one that you need to stand there for the entire time, unfortunately. But it's not very hard and doesn't take very long, so. Dance, pour yourself a glass of wine, put on some good tunes. You know, you could read a little bit or scroll Instagram if you stand here. Comment on the video. Whenever it gets to 240, you've got to be locked and loaded and ready to roll with your mixer, because we're going to pour our hot sugar mixture in gradually with the mixer running. Medium-low speed. Once all of the sugar mixture is in here with your gelatin, crank this thing up to like medium-high, and we're going to go for 7 minutes until it's super thick. Okay, you see how this looks like meringue? It is thick and white. It changes pretty quickly. It takes about 1 minute in the mixer on high speed for it to change to very opaque, beautiful, stark white. If I could name this color, I would name this mallow white. Actually, it's like more like ice white if that's a color, but it's so thick. We are going to transfer it quickly to our prepared parchment paper lined Pyrex pan. We're back at the peas. To help you be able to spread with your offset spatula a little bit more easily, you can spray your offset with Pam and it helps it slide right off. Sprinkle it with more powdered sugar on the top, like pretty generously. The more the better, honestly. We're going to kind of coat it in powdered sugar, if you will. So you know how marshmallows are sticky, but on the outside of the marshmallows, it's a little less sticky. It's because it's coated in powdered sugar. So this kind of seals the deal on everything. If you see any kind of shine of the marshmallow coming through, you don't want to see any of that. We are sealing it all in with powdered sugar. And that's it. Marshmallows, so easy. Now, you know how I said the hardest part is waiting on the sugar to come up to 240 degrees? I think I lied. The hardest part is waiting on the marshmallows to set, because unfortunately it takes about 24 hours for marshmallows to set. But here we are, by the grace of God and TV magic, I have these mallows. I have these mallows already made. What we are looking for here is that our marshmallows, they're still gonna be sticky, but that they fall out of this pan and are pretty dry. The powdered sugar helps it. In order to cut these, you are going to need a very sharp knife and a lot of powdered sugars. And I hate to burst your bubble, but these mallows are not going to be in that cylinder shape that you're used to them being in. I mean, those are kind of hard to come by for homemade mallows. But I've got some good news for you. We're gonna cut them into squares. And you wanna know why that makes these even better? Is because we're making s'mores, and s'mores are square. So why not just have the marshmallow fill the entire graham cracker and chocolate inch to inch? Just pick them up out using your parchment paper handles. Oh, so easy. And then flip these, hopefully, right on out of here. Look at that. It is a mess, for sure. If you didn't coat your parchment paper well enough with the powdered sugar, it might tend to stick, but what you need to do is just kind of coat the sticky portions with powdered sugar on the edges. It's like one giant marshmallow. Now all that's left is cutting into these things. I'm not entirely sure how many it's gonna make yet, but I want them to be about 1.5 inch squares because that seems like pretty good for a marshmallow. Be sure to coat your knife in powdered sugar every time you go for a slice, and that'll keep it nice and not sticky and even. So I got 32 marshmallows out of this. They're not perfect squares, they're very irregular and uneven, and that's totally fine. Before continuing with your marshmallows, you need to coat them all in powdered sugar. So the insides are still a little bit tacky. They're dry, but they're tacky. So what you do in order to store these and gift them, or even just to eat them, you just kind of need to roll them in powdered sugar so that the edges are covered, and there you have it. Perfect homemade marshmallows. Look at these. We are in a video studio. Full disclosure, we don't have access to a fire pit. If we were at my house, we would, but we don't. And I'm willing to bet that the majority of you also don't have a fire pit. Don't worry, because this is Hey Y'all, and I love to give all the tips and tricks. I have a solution. Bum, ba, da, ba. Sterno cans and rocks. Here's what I did. I got a tray. I filled it with pea gravel. You could use whatever you want to fill it with. And I got these Sterno cans that you can light, and I am submerging them into the rocks. Look at this. Look how cute this is. Tabletop s'mores. Y'all, it doesn't get any cuter than this. I mean, if you don't have a fire pit, this is honestly the way to go, and highly Instagrammable right here. I'm just saying, just saying. So the thing about Sterno cans, like this one in particular, they make a lot of different kinds, but this one with the gel filling is a little dangerous because you don't really see that there's a flame coming out of it. So if you can have access to ones that there is a visible flame, might be a little safer for the kid action, but you could just always have adult supervision around here because these things are piping hot. And there you have it. This is like the most genius s'more idea ever. You just take your little skewers, thread them through your mallows, and roast them. If y'all make homemade marshmallows, please tag me in it, at Odom. Even better, if you make a tabletop s'more station for your next gathering, I would love to also read about it. If you do it and you tag me, I will share it on my story. I can't wait to see what y'all do. This is the epitome of fall. I'm just gonna be here roasting my mallows because this ranks up there in probably the top 10 things that I've gotten paid to do at work. If you like this video, you know what to do. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe, share, comment. What kind of marshmallows do you like? Tag me if you make the marshmallows in the homemade s'more station at Odom. I will see y'all next week. Oh, one more thing. This was supposed to have vanilla in it. I totally forgot to put the vanilla in. If you're gonna put vanilla in the marshmallows, it would go in 2 teaspoons after it's thick and whipped, right before you put it into your greased, prepared parchment paper Pyrex, all the peas. It doesn't make or break the recipe. You could even put in peppermint flavor, almond flavor, you do you, all the flavors. Oh my gosh, y'all, look. I'm so excited. Okay, I'm digging in. I'll see y'all next week. Bye, y'all. I'm wearing these pants for the next episode. Oh, no. They're good. No, I really am wearing these pants. I didn't bring a second pant. Help.